Robbed and murdered 77 million native Indians, 100 million blacks in the slave trade. You are responsible for the crimes of your forefathers. A lot of you white people walk around here like, I never had slaves. You were never a slave. I never had slaves. But you benefit for the crimes of your forefathers. The reason why you're able to walk around and enjoy Hollywood is because your fathers had to kill, they had to rape, and they had to murder innocent people for you to have that opportunity. Does it make sense? Fight it! The Lord hates Esau. And if you so-called white people, you are descended from a man named Esau in the Bible. I think you better learn your history, okay? You are the original caveman. And this is the original caveman that you see right here. The original.
I'm in a hell of a hole. Was never expected to grow. Just obstacle set in the road. That a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never a home, only a place of captivity. Safe facility, hating, disfiguring me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy.
As a young black man, I feel that I have an obligation to my race of people. Not to no other race or no other nationality, just to black people. As a young black man, I feel that I have an obligation to my race of people. Not to no other race or no other nationality, just to black people.
But there's so many lies that we believe and so many doctrines within doctrines in the Christian church. Like they say, plead the blood of Jesus. What the hell does that mean? The prophets of the Lord are being rose up again in this time period to bring back the Lord's chosen people. That's and right. To stand on our feet and be those people again. That
your ancestors wasn't junkies. They wasn't getting high and, you know what I mean, hating one another and killing one another. You know why? Because they was being killed by the slave master. They wasn't, your ancestors had a different mindset. And if you really think about it, our ancestors were stronger than us and they were better than us. You know why? Because they knew they had an enemy and they knew who their enemy was. Today, black people don't know who your enemy is.
How the hell you think we got this truth? The ISUPK didn't come out of thin air. This truth comes from slaves, remembering that they were the children of Israel. We are the children of God. And if you don't understand it yet, you will understand it. We will bring it to you. We will get it through your brain that you are God's chosen people. And there is no dream. There is no thing. There is no success without learning who you are as a people.
According to God, the white man is the devil.
You see, I've been in here for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? And I see niggas, they like to talk a lot. They like to claim leadership. They like to claim this and that. You know what I'm saying? They like to be above what they really is and have authority. But they don't really need that authority. They don't really know what to do with that leadership. You understand? You hold hands with this white man. Need to stop and ask you to give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. See, everybody ain't with all that peace talk. Everybody ain't with all that let bygone be. Boy, ass need to stop and ask you to profit. It's about to get serious. When they hit us with dope and kill us with crack, where the fuck with your leaders? I'm curious. He cashed out on your blood, traded you in and bought a new biz. Ask you the prophets, I tell you the scheme. If you don't wake up, you gon' die in your dreams. I say you won't tell you no more. I swear these crackers try to kill us slow. Just spoke to a nigga and fed he up for parole because of the COVID. It feel like the host in this world that don't go together. Know it's gold in the ghetto. I'm in the city blazing with my niggas. Just told the devil the score never settled. Yeah, see the props. So I'm tired of these niggas keep talking about, you know, you respect my religion, I respect your religion. Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass see the props. You know, like we all come together. Cause you know, they say God so loved the world. God so loved the world, and know boy, your ass need to stop it, ass see the props. Don't give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. Hey, Jeremiah, we don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up. You know what I'm saying? Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass shit. Oh, I'm with step, I'm silent for show. For the fake niggas, stay silent, I got it, let's go, let's go. I ain't taking no loss, I ain't no token when we got the flow. I ain't no peace, just play with your own. I'ma be loyal to the right arm, tell him we can't keep it slave. And I can never let bygone be bygone. Got your baby mother on high, got your baby pass through the fire. Ain't she the prophets, that baby so belong to the Lord. How dare you abort it, devil will fail you, bitch, I can afford it. I prepare slaughter, you bring me my water. Push your leaders weak, let them lies slip through their teeth. Their ass need to stop it, ass see the prophets.
That's just the reality, Christians. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings.
Hey, what's good with y'all? Let's clap it up. Clap it up. I'm Preaching Officer Walker Bar. This is the ISUPK under Commander Jenny Hanna in Southern California. I'm Preaching Officer 5000 Walker Bar under Captain Gadalhar. And we're going to get back to what we were talking about. We were going over Joseph last week. And there's some things that I left out. There's some things we didn't cover. There's some things that I wanted to go over. So let's get Genesis 44, chapter 44. Get a little bit more insight to Israel, Jacob, and our forefathers starting out in the land of Egypt.
Book of Genesis, chapter 44, verse 1.
Let me know if we give me a one if people in the chat. Give me a one if you can hear me and the brother. Okay.
The book of Genesis, chapter 44, verse 1. He commanded the steward of his house, saying, fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry. Put every man's money in his sack's mouth. Verse 2. And put my cup, the silver cup, in the sack's mouth of the youngest.
So if we could, I don't think, let me see. Probably can go back a little further so we can get, and I know I should have went over this last week when we went over the story. So for time's sake, I was like blazing through it. Let me see. You're 44 and what? 44 and 2. Let me just, so the backdrop is that it was a famine in the land, and Jacob sent his sons, or Israel sent his sons to Egypt to buy grain, so they had their money. And when they got there, Joseph recognized them. He recognized his brother that had sold him into Egypt. And what Joseph did was he sent them back. First of all, they said that they had a brother that was passed away, Joseph, and they had a brother that was back home with their father, who was Benjamin, who was the youngest. So Joseph said, until you bring him back, I'm going to keep Simeon. So Joseph kept their brother Simeon while they went back home and got Benjamin. And because Benjamin was Jacob's last son, his youngest son, he was already hurt over losing Joseph. So he said, if I lose him, then I'm a mourn to the day that I die. And so he allowed for Benjamin to come back. So what happened was the brothers got grain. He sent them, the Pharaoh, Joseph sent them back, and he told the servants to put the money in there too. And so when they opened up the sacks, they were like, dang, our money is still in here. We're going to have to go back because the Pharaoh, the advisor or Joseph is going to think that we stole this money when really we came honestly to pay for the grain. But Joseph was doing this in order to see if his father was still alive and see how the family was doing. And we'll start at 44. Go ahead. Uh-huh. No. Let's get back to, so let's go back. Okay, yeah, start at 44. Verse 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 44, verse 1. He commanded the steward of his house, saying, fill the men's sack with food, as much as they can carry, and put every man's money in his sack's mouth.
Mhm.
Verse 2, and put my cup, the silver cup, in the sack's mouth of the youngest.
So now they done came back with Benjamin, and they're going back home for a second time. And he says, put the money back and put my cup in the youngest one's bag, in Benjamin's bag, meaning Joseph's cup. He's telling his servants, his Egyptian servants, to put his cup in there. Go ahead.
And put and his corn money.
Mhm.
And he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken.
Mhm.
Verse 3.
Yeah, go ahead. Y'all just bear with us. While the brother go handle something, I'll keep reading. It says, as soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, they and their asses, their donkeys. And when they were gone out the city and not yet far off, Joseph said unto his servant, up, follow after them. And when thou dost overtake them, say unto them, where have you rewarded evil for good? Is not this in which my Lord drinketh, and whereby indeed he divineth? Yet ye have done evil in so doing. So he wanted his servant, he told the servant, go and catch him, run up on him, say, why y'all did that evil? Basically, they were going to shake him down and find that cup that Joseph had said to put in Benjamin's bag. Go ahead. I was at yeah.
The book of Genesis, chapter 44, verse 4.
No. 6. We're at 6.
Verse 6. He overtook them.
Mhm.
He spake unto them these same words. And they said unto him, wherefore saith my Lord these words? God forbid that thy servants should do according to this thing. Behold, the money which we found in our sack's mouth, we brought it again unto thee out of the land of Canaan. How then should we steal out of thy Lord's house silver or gold?
Right. So the brother is saying we already had went back to Canaan and brought back the money that we thought was by accident. We didn't want nobody to think we were stealing. We brought that money back. So why would we do something like this? You understand? Go ahead.
Verse 9. With whomsoever of thy servants to be found, both let him die, and we also will be my Lord's bondmen. He said, now also let it be according unto your word. He with whom it is found shall be my servant, and he shall be blameless.
So now, is this Joseph speaking or is this the? So he's saying basically, whoever stole the cup, he could be not let me know, and he's going to be my servant. He's going to be my slave, and y'all going to be blameless. Y'all won't have no fault. Just give me him, knowing that it was Benjamin. Go ahead. 11.
Verse 11. Then they speedily took down every man his sack to the ground, and opened up every man his sack. Verse 12. And he searched and began at the eldest, and left at the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack.
So they made everybody lay down like how the police do, and searched everybody's bag, and they found the cup in Benjamin's sack. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Then they rent their clothes and inflated every man his ass, and returned to the city.
Then they rent their clothes, meaning his brother was in. They ripped their clothes. They was in mourning because it was in Benjamin's sack. They had promised Israel that he would come back. They would bring him back and he would be safe. But now he's about to become a slave in Egypt. That's what they're thinking. Go ahead.
Verse 14. And Judah and his brethren came to Joseph's house, for he was yet there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said unto them, What deed is this that ye have done? What is not that such a man as I can certainly divine? And Judah said, What shall we say unto my Lord?
So Joseph said, Why did you do this? Don't you know that I'm a man of power? I'm a man that can figure out and find out anything. I know everything that's going on in the city. I got whispers. I got people doing, what they call it, spying. I know everything that's going on. You can't do anything in Egypt without me knowing. Go ahead.
What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God has found out the iniquity of thy servants. Behold.
What verse are you on? Okay.
We are my Lord's servants, both we and he also with whom the cup is found. Verse 17 he said, God forbid that I should do so. But the man that will hand the cup is found shall be my servant. And as for you, give you up in peace unto your father.
So Joseph is playing this game. He knows these are his brothers, but he's saying the man that cup was found, he's gonna be my slave. And y'all get on, go back home to your father. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Then Judah came near unto him and said, O my Lord, let thy servant, I pray thee, speak a word in my Lord's ear, and let not thine anger burn against thy servant, for thou art even as Pharaoh. My Lord, ask his servant, saying, Have ye a father or a brother? And we said unto
Wait,
my
hold on.
Lord,
Let's send this slight echo. Listen to it. What about now? Still echoing?
it's like it's not your mic. I'm probably just
It's probably that mic. Okay. Let's just.
oh no, it's too loud now.
It's to WAP now. What does sound like now, y'all? I think it's good, man. That's just the stream. I think that's just the stream, y'all. Yeah. Most High in Christ. Most High in Christ. Where was he at?
Verse 20. The book of Genesis, chapter 44, verse 20. And we said unto my Lord, we have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, a little one, and his brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother, and his father loveth him. Verse 21. And thou saidst unto thy servants, bring him down unto me, that I may set mine eyes upon him.
So then we have a father that loved this boy. And our father, he gonna be in shambles when he find this out. And Joseph said, "What? Bring him what?"
And thou saidst unto thy servants, bring him down unto me, that I may set my eyes upon him.
What verse we on?
That was verse 21.
Keep going.
Verse 22. And we said unto my Lord, the lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. If
Now they're calling Joseph my Lord. He's saying like, and we saying to my Lord. They're talking to their brother. They don't know it's their brother that they sold. Go ahead.
And thou saidst unto thy servants, except your youngest brother come down with you, ye shall see my face no more. And it came to pass, when we camped up unto thy servant my father, we told him the words of my Lord.
So they said they're giving him the story. They're basically telling them, what just happened when he first sent them down to bring Benjamin back. And they went and told their father how the Pharaoh wanted Benjamin to come, but Jacob loved Benjamin so much, they pledged and they promised that they will make sure that Benjamin gets back safe. But now they stressed out because now it looks like Benjamin is about to be a slave to Joseph, to Pharaoh, but they don't know Joseph is running this play. Go ahead.
Verse 23. And it came to pass when we came up unto thy servant my father, we told him the words of my Lord. And our father said, Go again and buy us a little food. And we said, We cannot go down if our youngest brother be with us. Then will we go down, for we may not see the man's face.
Okay, now skip down. Let's skip down to 31. Because like what I just said is what all of these verses is. They're recanting to Joseph like everything that they went and told their father, the whole reason why they brought him up, and how their father feels about his last youngest son, right? Because Jacob was torn, he was messed up after they said that when they brought, what did they do? Go ahead. What did they do to Joseph?
They sold him into slavery.
They sold him into slavery, and then what did they do?
They lied and said that some beast devoured him.
They took his coat, they dipped it in blood, and they took it back to their father, so that he would automatically think, oh, some wild beast tore him apart. He's gone. And he said, I'm gonna be heartbroken to the day that that day that I die. And now Benjamin being the youngest, if this happens, if they don't come back with Benjamin, it's gonna be all bad. So now they're recanting this whole story to Pharaoh. Now we start at get verse 31.
Oh God. Verse 31. It shall come to pass when he seeth that the lad is not with us, that he will die, and thy servant shall bring down the gray hairs of thy servant of our father with sorrow to the grave.
So they saying that when it come to pass, when he see we come back and we don't have Benjamin with us, he gonna die. He gonna go down to sorrow to the grave, heartbroken. Go ahead.
Verse 32. For thy servant becomes surety, so like surety for the lad unto my father, saying, If I bring him not unto thee, then I shall bear the blame to my father forever.
So this is Judah saying, I will surety, I made a promise to my father that I will bring Benjamin back safe and sure. But now if I come back with him, I'm going to bear that blame to my father. It's going to be on my conscience when I see how sad my father is and how he just wither away and die. Go ahead.
Now therefore, I pray thee, let thy servant abide instead of the lad a bondman to my Lord.
So Judah said, I'm asking, I'm praying that let me take his place so that he can go back home and I'll be a slave to you. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And let the lad go up with his brethren.
And let him go back home with his brethren. Go ahead.
For how shall I go up to my father and the lad be not with me? Lest peradventure I see the evil that shall come on my father.
So that's that. Let's get next chapter.
The book of Genesis, chapter 45, verse 1. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him. And he cried, because every man to go out from me, and there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. So
Joseph standing there listening to Judah plead his case for Benjamin. You know, he was already feeling a little emotional seeing his brothers when they first came. Remember, when they first came, Joseph had to go into another room and he wept for a little bit. Then he came back, but he had to be strict with his brothers because he didn't want them to know that, you know, who he was. I mean, they didn't recognize him because remember, Joseph, when he was raised to a high position, he dressed like an Egyptian. He looked like an Egyptian. It says that he shaved his face. So he would not technically have looked like his ancestors. You know what I mean? But read that from the top again.
Come. The book of Genesis, chapter 45, verse 1. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him.
Joseph couldn't hold it in anymore after hearing about his father, who he loved so much. Go ahead.
And he cried, caused every man to go out from me.
He told every man to get out the room. Go ahead.
And thus, and there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren.
So it was just Joseph and his brothers, and he made himself known. Keep going.
Verse 2. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard.
And Joseph wept aloud. He cried aloud, and the servants that he had heard it, the Egyptians. Go ahead.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live?
He said, I'm Joseph. Is my father still alive? Go ahead.
And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence.
They didn't understand it. They were troubled at his presence. They were kids. What would it say? Joseph was 17 years old. They sold him. Now he's a grown man. This is years later. They never seen them again. They sold them off to some Arabians, to some Arabs. They seen some Ishmaelites come and sold Joseph off. So they're troubled that even it's like a ghost from the past standing in front of them. Go ahead.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life.
Now Joseph said, I'm your brother who you sold, but don't be troubled, don't be grieved, don't be, all in your thoughts and consciousness, like, damn, we effed up. He said, because the Lord had a plan for me. And remember, Joseph had those dreams. The whole reason he was sold is because he had those dreams, and they didn't like those dreams. He said, my dream is, I had a dream of, we all had a sheaf, and all of y'all sheaves came around about me and bowed down and worshiped me. They didn't like that. Then he had another dream. I can't remember the dream, with everybody in the family. He told his father said, so what, me and your mom and everybody's supposed to bow down to you? And then now here's the dream coming true, where he's second in charge of all of Egypt, and his brothers is coming to get food because of a famine. Now he has the power to change their whole life, and the Lord put him in that position. Read it again.
Come on. Verse 4. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life.
The Lord sent him before his brothers to preserve life. They feel like, damn, we sold our bro. We sold our bro. We sold one of our little brothers. That was evil. They didn't realize that the Lord did that, made that whole thing, orchestrated that whole thing for him to preserve life, because everybody was dying from the famine. It was a big deal back then if there was a famine. Now you have surplus and stores and storages and all of those things in the world, where if there is a famine, a lot of times if you live in a populated area, you won't know it, probably only because of the prices is going up. But in those times, a famine was a big deal, and you had to find who had the bread, literally the bread, the food, who had the grain, who had the barley, who had the wheat, who had the livestock, who had fertile land where livestock could live and they were producing, and you had to go purchase it. Keep reading.
Verse 6. For these 2 years have the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in the which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance.
Somebody get the definition of posterity. He said, God sent me forth to preserve a posterity. Right? Get posterity. A posterity in the earth. Preserve you a posterity in the earth, and save your lives by a great deliverance.
I got it.
I'm here.
The Merriam-Webster definition of posterity: the offspring of one progenitor to the furthest generation for all future generations.
That's to preserve your life. Your heritage is your posterity. Your bloodline, that's your posterity. Go ahead.
Come on. Verse 7. And God sent me to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. He hath made me a father to Pharaoh.
I worry you want some trouble? You twab? Okay.
And of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste ye and go up to my father, and say unto him, thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not.
Let me see. Salakia, where we at?
I just finished verse 9.
Verse 9. Read verse 9 for me again. That's a very powerful verse. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Haste ye and go up to my father, and say unto him, thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. come down unto me, tarry not.
Salakia, even verse 8. I didn't even catch that. Start at verse 8 for me.
Come. Verse 8. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. He hath made me a father to Pharaoh.
Joseph became a father to Pharaoh. He interpreted his dreams. He did something nobody in the land and nobody under the authority of the Pharaoh could do. None of his magicians, none of his wise men could give an answer for those dreams. And not only that, articulate it in a way and become a architect and a planner to start saving up for the bad times, to establish granaries, to buy up the land. Because it came a time where people was coming with their money to buy grain, right? And then they didn't have no money. They was coming with their livestock to buy the grain. And then they didn't have no more livestock because of the famine. Then all they had was their land. And so because in this time period, Egypt became very rich because of Joseph, because they didn't have anything else. So what was they coming with? They were selling their land to Joseph. So the Pharaoh started to control all of the land. And that takes you back to the famine stela that I brought out last week, where it's a record of the priests having the Pharaoh would take all the land except for the priest. It would take 20% from everybody except for the priests, the Egyptian priests. And so this document that was written in rocks, they were still holding on to this thousands of years later, and they believe it was a real thing. But what it also does prove is that the famine actually happened, the 7-year famine. And also, y'all remember from last week, Joseph said that the 7 years of plenty would be forgotten about. It would be like all the good would be forgotten about. Only thing people will remember is the 7 years of famine. And it's still written in stone to this day. Okay, keep reading.
Verse 9. Haste ye and go up to my father and say unto him, thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not.
So he said, go down to my father. Y'all go back, go to my father and tell him that the Most High has made me Lord over all of Egypt. An Israelite, a shepherd, somebody that comes from shepherds has become Lord over all Egypt. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen.
Thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen. Where is Goshen? Let me pull it up. Pull up a map for y'all. Goshen, this is the actual satellite map. Now, Goshen, you see where's the red 10 is at. Goshen was in a very fertile area. Now, you can't see the whole land of Egypt, but where you see the green line going down, that's the Nile River. So the water where the Nile River is where it's fertile because it's moist. Everything else is very arid and dry, but Goshen is what you call a delta, right? A delta region where the land is fertile and you can grow crops and you can do agriculture. That's the land where the Canaanites were living. That's the land where people that came from the area of Israel would settle in ancient Egypt. Go ahead.
Come on. Verse 11. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen. Thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children and thy children's children, and thy flocks and thy herds and all that thou hast.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 11. And there will I nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast come to poverty. And behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaks unto you. And ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that ye have seen, and ye shall haste and bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them. And after that, his brethren talked with him.
Now, now I have to say this, that was verse 15. When he kissed all of his brethren, what does it mean when it says kiss in the Bible? Go ahead.
Like he's saluting.
It's a salute. Like when you look at the actual definition of a kiss, the etymology of the word, the ancient word, it's to touch someone. It's not to, like how we think, how we were raised, that a kiss is two people pressing their lips against each other in a sign of affection.
Right.
But a kiss is really just a salute. It's a salute. It's a blow, blow. That's all it is. You're touching. You're showing love in a way that is not how you think today. You're showing, you know, it's a greeting. It's a way to show love, and it's a way, it's a greeting, but not in the way that we think of a kiss today.
Right.
Because they like to say that and use that for with David and Jonathan. They like to say, oh, look, this is LGBTQ, when you don't really understand the Bible. You're not studied enough to understand that this was not what you see or what you think it is today.
Right.
Keep going.
Come on. Verse 14. Verse 15. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, his brethren talked with him.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 16. And the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come, and it pleased Pharaoh well and his servants. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, say unto thy brethren, this do ye, lade your beasts and go, get you unto the land of Canaan, and take your father and your households, and come unto me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and you shall eat the fat of the land. So
the Pharaoh loved Joseph so much that Pharaoh treated Joseph like he was his father, even though he was a different race. He said, you know, get some camels, get everything you need, and go down and get your family. Go and get your peoples. Go and get your father and your households, and come back to Egypt, and I'm going to give you the fat of the land. You're going to live large on the land. I'm going to put you in the best places of Egypt because I respect you so much. I appreciate you so much for what you've done for my kingdom. That's how the Pharaoh treated Joseph.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 19.
Mm-hmm.
Now thou art commanded, this do ye, take you wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father and come.
He said, I command you to get everything you need, your wives and your little ones, and go get your father and come back. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Also regard not your stuff, for the good of all the land of Egypt is yours.
He said, listen, it's spared no expense. Don't worry about your stuff. Don't worry about nothing. All the good things you need, whatever you need, you got it. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine? That's like today, basically, like the president of the United States treating a nigger from the ghetto like that, because he was able to predict and tell him what his dreams meant. Say, whatever you need, we'll send you on a helicopter. Don't worry about food. Don't worry about money. No spared expense. I'll put you on a private jet to get there and go get your family and bring them back. And we're going to set you up in the Hamptons. We're going to set you up in the fattest place of America, the nicest place of America. And don't worry about it. You good. You Gucci. I got you. That's how the Pharaoh was treating Joseph. Joseph was an Israelite, but the Lord gave him that favor to have that position in Egypt. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And the children of Israel did so. And Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provision for the way. Verse 22. To all of them that gave each man changes of raiment, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. And to his brother he sent after this manner: 10 asses laden with the good things of Egypt, and 10 she asses laden with the corn and bread and meat for his father by the way. So he sent his brethren away, and they departed. And he said unto them, see that ye fall not out by the way. Verse 25. And they went up out of Egypt, and they went up out of Egypt and came into the land of Canaan unto Jacob their father, and told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive.
So they came back home they was sent with all kind of meat, all kind of goods, and they came back to their father in Canaan and said, Joseph is alive. Now, Jacob has always thought, he thinking that his son had died a long time ago. Go ahead.
Okay. Joseph is yet alive, and he is governor over all the land of Egypt. And Jacob's heart fainted, and for he believed them not.
And he didn't even believe it not. He did not believe that his son was alive. Have you ever seen that where you have videos where a brother or sister knows that their family member is alive and they might be locked up for a long time, and then they come and surprise them, and the brother is standing there, or even the daughter or the son is standing there. They only seen their father on video chat and pictures and visits. They never thought they'd ever see him again. And then they turn around and they can't believe it. They can't believe that this person is standing there before their eyes. Well, Jacob could not believe that Joseph was alive. Go ahead.
Verse 27. And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob, their father, revived.
So Jacob, remember, Jacob he had a cloud over him. He was depressed after hearing what happened to Joseph. He loved Joseph more than all of his boys. And then when he heard that, it changed him forever. Now, when he's hearing this new information and they showing him all the things they got, it said that his spirit was revived. He got life again from hearing that his son was alive again. Go ahead.
And Israel said, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die.
Now, Jacob was very, very old. And so he said, I'm going to go see my son before I give up the ghost. Let's keep going. Next chapter.
Verse 46.
And 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 46, verse 1. And Israel took his journey with all that he had, and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices unto the God of his father Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
And God spake unto Israel in the visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, here am I. And he said, I am God, the God of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. I will go down with thee into Egypt.
So the Most High told him to fear not to go in there, because the Egyptians hated the Hebrews. They hated anybody that was a shepherd. They thought it was detestable to even be around you. So it's just a miracle that Joseph was raised to such a high stature in Egypt. Go ahead.
Verse 4, I will go down with thee into Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
and I will also surely bring thee up again. And Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes. And Jacob,
So he said, I will bring you into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again, and Joseph shall put his hand upon thy eyes. He said, Joseph will close your eyes with his own hands. Meaning, I'm going to bring you here to see Joseph again, and you're going to die in this place, but it will be Joseph that will close your eyes. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 5, and Jacob rose from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, and their little ones, and their wives, in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 6, and they took their cattle and their goods, which they had gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his seed with him, his sons and his sons' sons, and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought he with him into Egypt. And these are the name of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Jacob.
You can skip down to 21.
Verse 21.
So like it, not 21. 26.
Verse 26. All the souls that came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons, wives, all the souls were 76.
70 souls, right?
And the sons of Joseph, which were born to him, in Egypt, were 2 souls. All the souls of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were 70.
So like it, 70 altogether. Go ahead.
Verse 28. And he sent Judah before him unto Joseph, to direct his face unto Goshen. They came into the land of Goshen, and Joseph made ready his chariot, and went up to meet Israel his father to Goshen, and presented himself unto him. And he fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while.
So when he fell on his neck, he leaned on his father, and he cried for a good while. Go ahead.
And Israel said unto Joseph, Now let me die, since I have seen thy face, because thou art yet alive. And Joseph said unto his brethren, And unto his father's house I will go up, and show Pharaoh, and say unto him, My brethren and my father's house, which were in the land of Canaan, are come unto me. And the men are shepherds, for their trade hath been to feed the cattle.
Mm-hmm.
And they have brought their flocks and their herds, and all that they have. And it shall come to pass, when Pharaoh shall call you, and shall say, What is your occupation? That ye shall say, Thy servants' trade hath been about cattle from our youth, even until now, both we and also our fathers, that we may dwell in the land of Goshen, for every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians.
So he said, so Joseph told his father, when you go, you say to Pharaoh that you are a shepherd, and that's what you've been doing, and all your forefathers have been doing. Verse 34 tells you that shepherds were an abomination to the Egyptians. The Egyptians did not like shepherds. They did not, unless they needed them for work, or unless they needed them to show them what a dream meant. Yeah, they needed them for that. It's the same here in this world. They don't really need you for nothing after slavery. They don't really need us, but except that we can build up their Shalom, Lord Christ, except that we can build up their nation, and we can make them prosper even more, and not help ourselves. Let's get let me see. Let's get 47 and 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 47, verse 1. Then Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, My father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan. And behold, they are in the land of Goshen. He took some of his brethren, even 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, What is your occupation? And they said unto Pharaoh, Thy servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers.
So Pharaoh asked him, What is your occupation? Go ahead.
Verse 4, they said moreover unto Pharaoh, For to sojourn in the land are we come, for thy servants have no pasture for their flock, for the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore we pray thee, let thy servants dwell in the land of Goshen. And Pharaoh spake unto Joseph, saying, Thy father and thy brethren are come unto thee. The land of Egypt is before thee. In the best of the land, make thy father and brethren go to dwell in the land of Goshen.
So Pharaoh said, make your, they're telling you what was the best part of Egypt. I told you earlier, but right here, read it from the top again. They're telling you what was the best part of Egypt.
Verse 6, the land of Egypt is before thee. In the best of the land, make thy father and thy and brethren to dwell in the land of Goshen.
In the land of Goshen. You know, the best part of any land is the land that's close to water. Now, this is a delta. There's deltas. It's the Mississippi Delta. There's different deltas where you have water coming through, the river connecting to a large body of water, and it brings in all of this silt, and it makes the soil so fertile for things to grow, and mainly for crops and all of those things, and for your livestock. It's the best. It's considered the best land anywhere. And so Pharaoh said, Joseph, put your family there. Put your family in the best land that we have. Give them the best real estate that we have. Go ahead.
Let them dwell. And if thou knowest any man of activity among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. And Joseph brought in Jacob his father and set him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, How old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh,
Jacob blessed the Pharaoh. Our forefather Israel blessed the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh said, How old are you? Go ahead.
And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, The days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years.
130 years old. Go ahead.
Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of my life, my fathers, in the days of their pilgrimage.
So Jacob gave credit to his forefathers in their pilgrimage. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh. And Joseph placed his father and his brethren and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh commanded. And And Joseph nourished his father, his brethren, and all his father's household with bread according to their families.
Ramses was an area in Goshen, just so you don't get confused. Verse 12.
Verse 12, and Joseph nourished his father and his brethren and all his father's household with bread according to their families. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine.
So this is talking about the famine and how people started to bring, first they would bring the money, then they ran out of money, then they would bring their livestock, then they ran out of money, livestock, and then they started to sell their land to Joseph, to the Pharaoh. So because of that, the Egyptian government became super rich because they bought up all the land from everyone because of the famine, because they had all the grain, because Joseph predicted this. He said to store it up, make silos, or what they call granaries, these big chutes in the ground. I showed y'all last week, the Egyptians made big chutes in the ground where you stored barley and wheat, and it was preserved for a very long time, and they just sold it. But it was only because Joseph predicted this would happen, the 7 years of plenty and then the 7 years of famine. So for 7 years they were able to store up all of this food, and then when the famine came, they had food to give out, but it also made them super rich. Go ahead.
Verse 14. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail.
If you don't got no more money, give me your cattle. I'll take I'll take a horse. I'll take your goats and your sheep and your cows. Go ahead.
And they brought their cattle unto Joseph. And Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, for the flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for the asses. And he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. It was like when that year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord. How that our money is spent.
Go ahead. So like it. Yeah.
So when they were bringing in this, so people had like cattle and stuff like out, and it's a famine in the land. So wouldn't they have eaten the cattle already or not?
I mean, they probably would have ate something, because you know a cow or a goat, it'll last a family a pretty long time. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure they probably would have already ate some. But just say you got flocks and ain't nothing growing. It's not like they're gonna stay alive that long. So the only thing you got that is your collateral is that. And then after that, what we're getting to it is that after you done sold all of your livestock, all you got is the land that you own. And now you got to sell that, because the famine was 7 years. But the 7 years of plenty, the Egyptians have been storing up the food. They have been. Well, really, it's just is wheat, barley, and grains and stuff. They have been storing that up so that when this time come, Egypt had so much surplus that different nations was coming. Now, Israel, our forefathers were in Canaan, which is Israel, and the famine was great everywhere, so they was coming down to Egypt to buy. So this is what all nations was doing, coming to Egypt, because Egypt was like America back then, where they had all the food. You want to go there, you know what I mean, and get that food. But eventually, like, that's a good question. I think you would have been eating your cows or whatever, but after a minute of them getting skinny and all of that, you looking like, well, damn, ain't no grass growing, ain't nothing growing. Like, this is all I got. You know what I mean? You might as well give them up and get something, you know what I mean? Because they're going to die. But you might as well sell them while they still got a little life in them. You know what I mean? And the Egyptians definitely got the food to feed them. Go ahead.
Verse 18. When that year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, We will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. My Lord also hath our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our lands. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread.
Now, if you could give me, what I want to get into is also the Hyksos. I was talking about this. These were the shepherd kings that took over Egypt at a certain period of time. This period of time is during the same time that Joseph and his father and the Israelites were in Egypt. And so I'm gonna send you a story real quick. All right. I'm gonna send you a link. It's from the yeah, go ahead.
So like, okay, I'm picturing it's like, okay, maybe the time period is off, but like how in the movies or the mid-century type movies, like the king and for in this case Pharaoh and then like his court is good. Like they're not really suffering for nothing. It's the people that are. It's the people
that are suffering. Yes. I sent it to you on Messenger.
Come on, they gain the land, and then eventually they will deviate back out to their I don't call them lords, but they'll be like lords or this lord over this land.
Right.
Like that's what they were doing at the time.
Right. So it's kind of like I can put it in this way, like with America, like let's say if it was a really bad famine, like a lot of blacks and Hispanics, we kind of like will be asked out because a lot of us don't own no land with livestock and all of that. But let's just say America has all the food, all the surplus. And so the people with farms and the people with land, the people with cattle, first off, they're coming to buy. They're coming to buy the food first with the money. But then it gets to a point where the money's not no good no more because nobody is buying. The famine is so bad, nobody's buying from each other like that. So we got to go to where America or Egypt has the actual food. So our money ain't no good no more. Then it gets to the point where now we're looking at our possessions, our cars, our houses and everything. And we're like, well, like I say livestock is like a house, all right? Because our jewelry or something that's an investment because it can keep making money, right? The livestock can keep making money. Now you're trying to sell your livestock because it's a famine, nothing is growing. So your livestock got to eat. But because it's not raining, ain't nothing growing that they can eat, you in a situation where like, damn, what did I do? I don't want to starve. Okay, I'm gonna start selling some of these horses. I'm gonna sell some of these cows. And then get to the point where you sell them all because of the famine. Then they get to the point where, damn, all I got is my land. And you sell that to the Egyptians. Now the government or the Egyptians, America is getting very rich because now they're buying up everybody's land. Now they own everybody's land and they're super rich. And so what was you saying? I forgot the point in your question you was asking.
Were they stockholding like government buying up all this land? The government buying up all this land at that time to like divvy it back out later on to their particular people.
To like the Egyptians?
Yeah, so like I would imagine the government buy this plot of land.
Yeah.
They're going to put somebody they want overcharge of that land.
Right, and then they'll later sell it for a higher price
right.
to someone else that can afford it. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's how they became. That's because they say during this period of Joseph, Egypt became very rich because it bought up all the land. So it was independent landowners in ancient Egypt, like it's independent landowners in America. And all the land got bought up. So the Egyptian government or the crown had all the power and all the wealth because now they own all the land. I can lease some land out to you, rent some land out to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like it was independent people. Go ahead.
Other countries, like neighboring.
No, these are Egyptians. These are Egyptians, but people from other lands because the famine was so great. The famine was in ancient Egypt. The famine was in Israel, in those areas of what we know today as the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and all those places. And all nations was coming to Egypt for that grain. But the reason why Egypt had the grain was because the Lord blessed Joseph to be able to tell the dream and tell the Pharaoh it's going to be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. So store up. Now, when they go into the archaeology, like I brought out last week, they look at the pyramids. They look at the 3rd century Pharaoh, Djoser. His pyramid complex during the time when Joseph would have lived is filled with large silos in the ground, like big, giant chutes in the ground that would have held a lot of grain. And so it was set up to where nations could come in, buy their grain, and go back out to their country. And so it was a very smart ploy, but it was because of the Lord. It was because of Joseph that the Egyptians were able to accomplish that and do that. And during that time, they became extremely rich. And not only that, during that time, remember, they didn't like the Pharaoh, they didn't like shepherds. So during that time, you have the Hyksos, which that came to power, and they dominated the same area of Egypt. You had Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. Well, the Hyksos dominated Lower Egypt, okay? And the history tells us that pharaohs had to go to war and expel the Hyksos. But the Hyksos, you got that article? We're going to read about the Hyksos, right? And I have some slides to pull up to show you that Hyksos, they were a shepherd people that came out of Canaan. They had a god called El or Baal, and they came into Egypt in the Delta region, in the Goshen area, and they got so great that they were able to come into rulership on the throne of ancient Egypt, but they were not Egyptians. They were Semitic people. Go ahead and read that.
Okay. This is Hyksos, Egyptian dynasty by Britannica. Hyksos dynasty of Palestinian origin that ruled northern Egypt as the 15th dynasty, 1630 C or 1530 BCE.
So they ruled northern Egypt. So northern Egypt is considered lower Egypt. So what you would think is upper Egypt is actually lower Egypt. In the lower part of the Nile, where Aswan and those places, that's called upper Egypt, where Thebes is at. Go ahead.
The name Hyksos was used by the Egyptian historian Manetho, who, according to the Jewish historian,
Manetho is a famous historian. He was an Egyptian historian that lived in the 3rd century. And a lot of archaeologists get their information from Manetho. Of course, when it comes to the Israelites, a lot of people get their information from Josephus, who lived in the 1st century. And he was an Israelite that lived during Greek times. Go ahead.
By the Egyptian historian Manetho, who, according to the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, translated the word as king shepherds or captive shepherds.
So the word Hyksos, when they translate it, means shepherd kings or king shepherds, or what is the other one?
Captive shepherd.
Captive shepherds. Go ahead.
Josephus himself wished to demonstrate that great antiquity for the Jews and thus identified the Hyksos with the Hebrews of the Bible.
Josephus identified the Hyksos. Josephus was an Israelite that came up during the Greek times. He was a historian. You should get the book of Josephus if you like to read. It's crazy information in the book of Josephus. Do we got the book of Josephus here? We don't got it. We don't got it. I got it in my library, but Joseph. So like it's with the camp equipment, Most High in Christ. So we do have it. It's with the camp equipment. So when we out at camp, we have our books laid out so people can see the type of books we study and we read. And we have the book of Josephus, which is Josephus gives a record from Genesis all the way down in his own account and his studies and his research. And he lived during the 1st century BC. Where we at?
Hyksos was in fact probably in
excuse me. Go ahead.
Rulers of foreign lands.
Rulers of foreign lands, right?
and it almost certainly designated the foreign dynasties rather than the ethnic group.
Mm-hmm.
Modern scholarship has identified most of Hyksos kings named as Semitic.
Hi-
Shemitic.
So Hyksos, when they look at the Hyksos, they had Shemitic names. Now these are sculptures of the Hyksos when they was on the throne in Lower Egypt, in the area of Goshen. Okay. These are images of the Hyksos. They made Sphinx themselves, and history says that they came from the land of Canaan, and because they grew so strong in the land of Canaan, in the land of Canaan, and then they grew so strong in the area of the Delta of Goshen in Egypt, they were able to overpower and take the throne and come to rulership. Okay, go ahead.
Come on. The rise of the Hyksos kings in Egypt was made possibly by an influx of immigrants from Palestine into Egypt, beginning about.
They calling it Palestine. But in ancient times it was Canaan, and then later it became Israel. Today they call it Palestine again. They call part of it Palestine and a part of it Israel, but it's really all Israel. Go ahead.
By an influx of immigrants made possible by an influx of immigrants from Palestine.
This is another image of the Hyksos. Well, it's one of the same images, but it has a striking similarity to Gadite type brothers with the headband and the way the hair is. But these were the shepherd kings that came into power during the time of Joseph, during the dates in the time period of when Joseph was on the throne. These people came into power in ancient Egypt and was ruling. Go ahead.
Beginning about the 18th century BCE,
The
immigrants brought with them new technologies, including the horse and chariot.
They brought the horse and the chariot to ancient Egypt. Go ahead.
The compound bow.
The compound bow. Go ahead.
And improved metal weapons.
So they brought technology to ancient Egypt. Go ahead.
Most of them settled in the eastern portion of the Nile Delta, which they achieved a dominant role in trade with Western Asia. Archaeological excavations.
This is also an image of the Hyksos. Go ahead. This is on the wall. This is on the. They was also called retinue. Retinue are the Hyksos, people from the area of Canaan. Are they Asiatics? The term. Go ahead. Khan. This was us. Khan. It like just I look at it like say Hyksos. So Hyksos, right? Because I get tongue tied when I try to say the word, but Hyksos. Definitely. Now these are from two different tombs. The first on the left is from the tomb of Sobek Hotep in the 18th dynasty during the time of our people. And the other one is called Abishai, the Hyksos, the tomb of Khnum Hotep II. And then you have another one right here with a Hyksos with his the loop earring, the beard. This is the phenotype of the Semitic people. And these are the people that were during the time of Joseph in ancient Egypt. And so they don't look like no fake Jews to me. They don't look like the people that is in Israel today. You know what I mean? These people definitely had woolly hair, wore braids. They wore tunics of multiple colors, just like Joseph. Remember, his father gave him a coat of many colors. This fits the description or the phenotype. Keep reading.
Most of them settled in the eastern portion of the Nile Delta, where they achieved a dominant role in trade with Western Asia. Archaeological excavations in the area have revealed a Canaanite-style temple, Palestinian-type burials. It's like a burial.
Skip down to Amos, the first. Pharaoh. Is it in here? Should be in here. Give me that.
It says the Theban revolt spread northward. northward under Chamos, about 1521. Varus fell to his successor, Amos, founder of the 18th dynasty, thereby ending 108 years of Hyksos rule over Egypt. Although vilified in some Egyptian texts, the Hyksos had ruled as pharaohs and were listed as legitimate kings in the Turin Papyrus.
So it says that, so the Hyksos was considered legitimate kings. Joseph was considered a legitimate king. The Bible doesn't cover this history. The Bible doesn't cover the history after Joseph. The Bible starts, and we'll get to it in Exodus chapter 1, with a Pharaoh that did not know Joseph. It ends with Joseph. What we were just reading is we were reading when Israel, our forefather, came into Egypt and he was able to settle in there. And I believe Jacob lived in Israel. Jacob lived in Egypt for about 18, 17 years before he died. And then we know in Genesis 49, he blessed all the sons. First, Joseph brought his two sons, Simeon and am I tripping? Simeon and Manasseh? Joseph's two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. He brought his two sons to meet his father, Jacob, before he was going to die. And Jacob said, these two sons are going to be my sons. And whatever you have after that, that'll be your sons. And that's why Ephraim and Manasseh is a part of the 12 tribes of Israel. But it ends with that. We don't know the history in between after Jacob, Joseph had all of this love from the Pharaoh and all of this favor to Exodus chapter 1, where now we have a Pharaoh that does not know Joseph. Well, this is the Pharaoh in history that did not know Joseph. His name was Amos. He was the first king of the 18th dynasty. He expelled the Hyksos from Egypt and he enslaved the Israelites. Give me Exodus chapter 1.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob. Verse 2.
So like let me get there with you real quick. I want you to skip down to verse 8. Mm-hmm.
Now these.
Oh, verse 7. I'm sorry. No, verse 6. I'm sorry. Dang.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 6. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. Verse 7. And the children of Israel was fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty. And the land was filled with them.
And so the children of Israel waxed exceedingly mighty and fruitful in this area. Remember, they was given the land of Goshen. They was given a fertile land. So they was eating good, living good, and they just waxed exceedingly mighty. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
So the new king that rose up over Egypt was Amos the first. He was the king. He was the first king of the 18th dynasty. He did not know Joseph. And in the history, it says that he rose up to go against the Hyksos and pushed him out of Egypt. That's in the history of the Edomites. Go ahead.
So that whole 108-year period you were talking about, that's what the scriptures is talking about for as us waxing mighty in the land.
Right.
Okay, kind of.
We
new inventions and doing new things
and just growing in the land of Egypt. And remember, in the beginning, I don't know if everybody's paying attention, but when Joseph told his brothers, "Don't fear me," like the Lord has put me here for a reason, to what is it? To give you a posterity, to make sure that our seed keeps going on. The Lord put me. Don't think that because you saw me, it's all bad. No, it's a good thing. The Lord put me in this place. I'm the governor of all of this. I'm the father of Pharaoh. I run this. You know what I'm saying? But when that Pharaoh died, there was a Pharaoh that didn't remember the things that the Israelites, that Joseph and his descendants had gave, what they did for them, how they made them, how they made Egypt so rich because of, you know, storing up for the 7 years of famine. They said, like it says they filled the land. They waxed exceedingly abundant and filled the land. They were everywhere. They were running things. You know what I mean? Like if we was, think about it, they call us minorities, right? They said what? Black people, Hispanic people, black people is 12%. How many? I don't know. What's the number with Hispanic brothers and sisters? What's the percentage they are in America? But I know that white people are like 77% or 71% or something like that. Hispanics are like 14%, right? But imagine if we wax exceedingly and we just grew and grew and grew. They would look at us like, damn, we got to figure out something to get them up out of here. We got to do something about this. You know what I mean? But we're very influential. We're more influential, even though we're like in urban centers. We're in urban areas. We're in urban centers. That's it. You know what I mean? But our people got so strong in ancient Egypt. They said, damn, we got to do something about this. Where were you at?
I'm going to read verse 8.
Con.
And now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
There arose up a new king that didn't know Joseph. He didn't know the accomplishments of Joseph and what Joseph did. And that all he knew is that these were shepherds. These were not Egyptians. They are in the land and they are getting stronger and mightier. And I have to do something about this. Well, history says that this was Amos. He had a brother named Kamos who fought against the Hyksos and was defeated. But when he fought, he was able to push the Hyksos back out of Egypt into the land of Canaan, or today Israel. So from that point on, this is where you get to the slavery and the oppression of our people in ancient Egypt after this Pharaoh. Okay, keep reading.
Verse 9. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them.
Right. Keep going.
Lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when they fall out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us. And so get them out of the land.
Get them up out of the land. We need to get them out of the land. There's too many of them. Not get all of them out the land, but we need to get them up out of the land because they're just too strong. They're stronger than us. They're mightier than us. And this is a threat to our nation and to our people. Isn't that how Edomites feel with us? It's not even a lot of us, but they feel threatened by us. They feel like we're doing too much sometimes. They feel like, okay, we need to try something different with these niggas. They getting strong and they getting uppity and they think they know something. We need to remind them who they are. You know what I'm saying? You can drop that. You could drop that. So, is there any questions in the room? Any questions when it comes to anything we spoke about or anything off the topic? Anybody in the chat? Just shoot. Go ahead.
So like,
if
they're saying like Hyksos was us, so we left. So Joseph brought us into the land with Jacob, 70 souls originally.
Uh-huh.
Then we grew and became the Hyksos, or so-called, and then got kicked out. So in between how you saying the 49th chapter and the beginning of Exodus, so that's like when we came back into the land, or like how did we end up back into the land?
So what I was saying was, you remember in Exodus, it's telling us that they said they're growing mightier than us. We got to get them up out the land.
Right.
I don't believe it was all of our people. History doesn't say that, because history shows that during this time there were still people that had to build pyramids,
right,
to work in Egypt. At this time, this is when Israelites became enslaved. Now, you remember the Brooklyn Papyrus that I brought out? The Brooklyn Papyrus is a papyrus that basically tells you that Egypt, anybody that was living in Egypt was forced to work on building projects. They had to work on building projects. They had to, let me pull this up real quick. They had to work, and a lot of people say there was no slaves in Egypt. That's a lie.
Right.
Egypt forced people to work on building projects. You had to if you was in ancient Egypt. But I don't want to forget your question. So you were saying that during that period of time,
It's like
how did we get back in?
kind of like
No, we it was many of us. We never left that area. A lot of people think that Egyptians did everything that you see in Egypt. The Egyptians that they think did everything were pharaohs. They didn't work.
Right.
They gave commands.
Right.
It was regular people in Egypt that built all the monuments and cut the stone and was artisans and people that sculpt. Y'all remember when we went to the wilderness and Moses went up to get the 10 Commandments, Aaron fashioned a damn calf out of gold. How many niggas can you go to right now that can do anything with gold and melt anything down and make something out of it? But that's the skill set that we had in ancient Egypt. We had skills.
right.
If you was to go back 100 years, you'll have Black people that came out of slavery that could build houses, that could do anything that you need them to do, because we did all of the work. We had all the skills. So the same way it was like in ancient Egypt, our people did all of those things that common folk think that Egyptians did. They didn't have slaves. Egyptians would. No, the pharaohs, y'all niggas get confused with being Egyptian versus being a pharaoh. It was only a few pharaohs in his family, and they didn't do nothing. Common folk did everything. Go ahead.
So we was basically already, like the brother saying, like we was already there.
We was already there. Remember, in the history, we were already living in the land of Goshen. We were living in a fertile. Go ahead. We were shepherds. Go ahead.
So when they're recognizing us as the Hyksos, so since we were defeated by Pharaoh, we were never expelled. Is what I'm asking. Like, how do we end up back in the land of Egypt if after Amos defeated us as the Hyksos, and then now at the time of Exodus, he's talking about, okay, there's too much, then let's get them out. So can we leave and come back?
So no. So when you look at the families, you had different. They're all Semitic branches of the same people. You had different, just the same way we have different branches of our people now. We have different types of brothers and sisters that think one way. We got the what is the people out there in the South? The what you call them? The Geechee, the Gori or the Geechee. Y'all know about the Geechee people? The people that had the brothers and sisters that came from slavery, but they kind of like made their own language and culture. They're like by the swamps and everything. They're not Creole, but okay, there's something like that. But the point I'm making is that there was a lot of different families and clans that came out of Canaan and were settled in this region. They just looked at everybody as the same. They looked at us as shepherds. So our people grew to so great that they rose on the throne. And the history says that Amos fought against them and expelled them out the land. When we read in Exodus chapter 1, it says we need to get them out of the land. Okay. Now, getting them out of the land don't mean everybody is gone.
Right.
But you have different families. We know that Joseph's family was in the land. There came a time when this new Pharaoh rose up. He didn't know them. He didn't give a damn about what our people did, what that lineage or that family did, he didn't care about that. That didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
So Salakia, sir, if I may. So basically, his goal was not to completely get everybody out, but just to shrink the numbers.
Just to shrink the numbers.
That there was cheaper than them. So
now, this is speculation, but that's what we're saying is to shrink the numbers, because our people, it says our people multiplied and they filled the land, meaning they were everywhere. Like they were more than us. They were more than us Egyptians. So we need to figure out what we can do with this. Not only did we say we got to get them out the land, it goes into the first form of abortion, which is every child that is born, every male, kill them. Because the male, so you don't have to put the women, because us Egyptians, we sleep with them women, those will be Egyptian babies, but kill the man child. Let's get rid of the man child, and then we can cut them numbers down. We can hack them down a little bit, you know what I mean? But we went over this. Probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago. We can read that. We can read it. Somebody get that. We can. It's in the same chapter where we was just at, Exodus chapter 1. Let me see. I see. It looks like we got something. So it says, so basically gentrified Egypt. Who gentrified Egypt? We did? We gentrify Egypt? Or are you saying that just explain it a little more?
Look at Exodus chapter 1, verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when they followed out any war, they join also into our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters.
They set up over them taskmasters. Go ahead.
To afflict them with their burdens.
To afflict them with their burdens. That's like having a job and having a supervisor over you, having somebody over you. When we was in slavery, we had what you call overseers. A taskmaster is somebody that's making sure you're doing your job, making sure you stay busy. Go ahead.
And they built for Pharaoh treacherous cities, Pithom and Ramses.
Mm-hmm.
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
They were grieved because of the children of Israel. They're grieved because the children of Israel, even today, they're grieved because the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are not going with the program. Anytime you're not going with the program, anytime you speak up, anytime you stand up, anytime you point out something that is wrong, they're grieved by you. They're grieved by your existence. They're grieved by the fact that they know that you're the people that produce the most. You're the people that's in the fields getting all the fruit and all the grapes and all the salad, the lettuce and all that, so they can have a good salad. You're the people working 9 to 5s, 10 and 12 hours. You're the people that's resilient and strong and unwavering and proud. And they're even grieved because of your pride and who you are. They don't want to even see you proud. They want to see you with your damn head down. They don't want that. Go ahead.
Verse 13, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
And
they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field.
So they did all manner of service in the field. What I just named, all of these different jobs and occupations, these jobs and occupations keep this kingdom running, but it's all manner of service in the field. Go ahead.
All their service wherein they made them serve was rigor.
It was rigor. It was hard. It was hard. Go ahead.
Verse 15, and the king of Egypt spake unto the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of some was Shipra, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when you do the office of the midwife to the Hebrew woman, feed him upon their tools. If it be a son, then he shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, she's dead. It's like if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
So like we already went over it, to kill a son is to mean that you cutting off the bloodline. And that for that's a good breakdown for brothers that say that the bloodline is not in a man, it's in a woman. Well, you can bring this precept out. Because he say you could ask them, why did he want to kill the boys but not the girls? Why? And they ain't gonna have no one would have an answer for that. Like, but you will have an answer because it's the bloodline is in the man. The seed comes from the man. But keep going. Salaki.
But the midwives feared God.
Uh-huh.
And did not as the king of Egypt commanded them.
The midwives feared the Most High. They didn't do as what the Pharaoh said. Go ahead.
But saved the men and children alive.
Uh-huh.
And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, why have you done this thing and saved the men and children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women.
The Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women. Go ahead.
For they are alive.
They are lively. Go ahead.
And are delivered in everything. The midwives come in unto them.
So the midwife said, our women are lively. They not like y'all women. They have the babies before we can even get to them. The midwives, they feared the Lord. And when the Pharaoh asked them, why are you not killing these babies? They said, well, our women are not like your women. They kind of like gave a little excuse. In the fear of the Lord, they said, our women are not like your women. Our women, when they sitting on the stools is like a woman when she would have a baby, she would have a baby how you sit, kind of like how you sit on the toilet. So where the baby comes down with gravity, not how the white man has a woman lay on their back. So when they sitting on the stools is how you sitting with your leg, sitting down like that. And the midwife said basically they have the babies before we hear about it, and by the time we get there, they done already had the baby because they lively. They pushed them things out. They pushed them babies out. That's what they told the Pharaoh, like to not have to kill their people. You know what I mean? But this was a ploy to cut down the numbers, like the brother was asking me, like to cut down the number. Just like abortion is a ploy to cut down the numbers, and they do a good job at it. But if it wasn't for the Lord, we would be extinct right now. I just read a story where the white rhino is gone extinct. The northern white rhino. I don't know if it's true or not, but they said the northern white rhino is officially extinct. The white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. Right. And if it wasn't for the Lord being with us and showing favor unto us so that we could have a posterity and have a heritage, we would be extinct. We would be somewhere in a museum. They have a nigga with his hat to the back and say, oh, this was a hip hop artist standing there. He was a hip hop artist. They would do us wrong too. They put the worst parts of our society in museum. They have a Nicki Minaj twerking. This was a black woman and her mating call. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's the point is that if it wasn't for the Lord, we wouldn't have nothing to hold on to. We wouldn't even remember anything because we'd be gone. And it'd be another people saying, oh yeah, we're God's chosen people. You know what I mean? Anything else? It's 9:02. Any questions in the chat before we get up out of here? I hope I'll answer brothers' questions. To what? All right, Israel, we're about to wrap it up. That's the class. I'm going to pass the class to Precinct Officer Karataza. Where we at? Salaki. Where is it at? That's one of those things that we got to sharpen up on, brothers. Brothers, we moving everything. You got it? Most High in Christ. Salaki, I was gonna say that brother could have turned that down, turned the shit down.
The security announcements is that we are the ISBK, started out at 1-1.
Oh yes, I'm so slacking. Yeah, his Hyksos did gentrify Egypt. Yeah, we talk about
the ISBK security announcements. We are the ISBK, started out at 1-1 Street Hall, New York. Rule for new brother or sister. The new brother or sister comes to the school. So, when a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves in the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if the brother or sister has interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 and 21, Malachi 3, 8 through 10. Means 10th in the Hebrew, ma'ashra. 10% of any penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give the treasury or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for the priest, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations is the Feast of First Fruits on June 17th, I believe. Remind Akim and Akwakim to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boot shirt, pants, headband, and war scarf. With that, individual Amajim, we're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Amajim, stand. Amajim Shabbat. Amajim Barak. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Barak.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Barak. With
that, Yashmatah, class dismissed.
No. Leave it. Let me see. Let me give a shout out. We got Sister Baratha Nawa in the house. We got Sister Olivia Arnold in the house. Princess Nakaf in the house. Daughter of a King in the house. G.A. Georgia, Most High in Christ. Amara Shara in the house. Black Dazzle was in the house. That Gamer Honesty 06 was in the house. Halak Bang Yashikar in the house. Renee Gaines in the house. Davion Perchu, our warrior, is in the house. He's definitely in the house. He's right here. Natazam Anna Jewel in the house. Shalom to you, sister. Let me see. Kalmaz Baf is in the house. Shalom to you. Mary Baf Yashikar in the house. My sister's been rocking for so long. She's been down. So a solid sister. Yeah. And let me see. I'm gonna play a video. Where's the video at? Bruh. I'm looking for this video. Make sure you subscribe to Black Authentic Truth and The Walker Bar on YouTube. The Walker Bar 5K on YouTube. It's lucky. I thought oh, there we go. What is oh, shout out to, did I say Black Dazzle? Shout out to Black Dazzle too.
To my race of people, not to no other race or no other nationality, just to black people.
But there's so many lies that we believe and so many doctrines within doctrines in the Christian church.
Like they say, plead the blood of Jesus. What the hell does that mean? The prophets of the Lord are being rose up again in this time period to bring back the Lord's chosen people and to stand on our feet and be those people again. That
your ancestors wasn't junkies. They wasn't getting high and, you know what I mean, hating one another and killing one another. You know why? Because they was being killed by the slave master. They wasn't, your ancestors had a different mindset. And if you really think about it, our ancestors were stronger than us and they were better than us. You know why? Because they knew they had an enemy and they knew who their enemy was. Today, black people don't know who your enemy is.
How the hell you think we got this truth? The ISUPK didn't come out of thin air. This truth comes from slaves, remembering that they were the children of Israel. We are the children of God. And if you don't understand it yet, you will understand it. We will bring it to you. We will get it through your brain that you are God's chosen people. And there is no dream. There is no thing. There is no success without learning who you are as a people.
According to God, the white man is the devil.
You see, I've been in here for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? And I see niggas, they like to talk a lot. They like to claim leadership. They like to claim this and that. You know what I'm saying? They like to be above what they really is and have authority. But they don't really need that authority. They don't really know what to do with that leadership. You understand? You hold hands with this white ass, need to stop it, ass shit. Give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. See, everybody ain't with all that peace talk. Everybody ain't with all that. Let bygone be. Boy, ass shit, stop it, ass shit. It's about to get serious. When they hit us with dope and kill us with crack, where the fuck with your leaders? I'm curious. He cashed out on your blood, traded you in and bought a new biz. Ask you the prophets, I tell you the scheme. If you don't wake up, you gon' die in your dreams. I tell you once, won't tell you no more. I swear these crackers try to kill us slow. Just spoke to a nigga and fed he up on parole because of the COVID. It feel like the host in this world that don't go together. Know it's gold in the ghetto. I'm in the city blazing with my niggas. Just told the devil the score never settled. Yeah, see the prophets. I'm tired of these niggas keep talking about, you know, you respect my religion, I respect your religion. Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass she the prophets. You know, like we all come together. Cause you know what I'm saying? They say God so loved the world. God so loved the world to know. Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass she the prophets. Don't give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. Hey, gentlemen, young, we don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up. You know what I'm saying? Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass shit. Oh, I'm with step, I'm solid for show. To the fake niggas, stay silent, I got it, let's go. Let's go. I ain't taking no losses, ain't no talking when we got the flow. Ain't no peace, just pay with your own. I'ma be loyal to the right arm. Tell him we can't keep it slate. And I can never let bygone be bygone. Got your baby mother on high, got your baby pants through the fire. Ain't she the prophets? That baby soul belong to the Lord. How dare you abort it? Devil will fail you, bitch, I can afford it. I prepare slaughter, you bring me my water. Push your leaders weak, let them lies slip through their teeth. Their ass need to stop it, ass she the prophets.
That's just the reality, Christians. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings.